Welcome to the Holistic Me podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Bravo. As a licensed acupuncturist and holistic health and wellness professional, I spend my day providing service and care to others. Over the years, my own self-care practices have ebbed and flowed, having a profound effect on not only my physical body, but my mental, emotional wellness and my spirit body. I am here to share my story, my experiences, and my continued journey on the path to exploring and uncovering the greatest version of myself through heart-centered connection, healing, self-love, and authenticity. I am beyond grateful to share this journey with you. My intention is that my story medicine may help at least one other soul on this collective experience we are sharing to shine their light bright for all the world to receive. Namaste. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Holistic Me podcast. This is Jessica coming to you live from my kitchen on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve and Happy New Year. Most of you probably won't hear this till 2020, and I think that's pretty awesome. We're entering a new decade and very exciting. I just wanted to take some time for this episode really to reflect and show some gratitude and make some connections in regard to 2019, what this past year has done for me and how I've experienced it. For a lot of people I've seen on social media all over the place, 2019 was pretty rocky, and a lot happened. There's been a lot of just energetic shifts going on collectively, I think, as a unified experience for us all, wherever we might find ourselves. And I think it's quite powerful, quite evident that things are shifting. And for me, this year was also a mixed bag. There was so much going on, so many things that were pretty messed up, so many things that were pretty great, and everything in between. And so one of the biggest things that happened this year for me was losing my grandmother. And so early in the year, her rapid decline started to take place, and so it became really evident that she was on her way to transitioning from this physical plane that we're all experiencing. And it took a lot out of me, not only emotionally but physically as well. There was a lot of travel involved. I live in New Hampshire. My grandmother and my family are in Miami, and so I was traveling a lot more this year on my own and with my son, and it was exhausting at times, but it was important to be there, not only for her and myself, but for my family as well, obviously. And so that was a pretty rough experience overall, just seeing her health decline so rapidly and watching it all unfold, and seeing a lot of the kind of just things come up emotionally within my family, and that's always hard to witness, but I think it's also been an important growing process. And part of that was this year. I also, in the beginning of the year, beginning of 2019, about February, March, I started therapy for the first time. And that was really huge. I don't know why I waited so long. I turned 30 this year, and I should have probably taken advantage of seeing a therapist, probably since childhood. But you never really know how beneficial it is until you go and experience it. And not to say that I had a messed up childhood. I don't think that's like any sort of qualification for having therapy. There's such a taboo around therapy, I think, in a lot of communities, and that we kind of just have to deal with our stuff, right? And everything's okay, as long as there's no severe mental illness. Like, you just got to trudge through, and but I digress. The point being is that I think we can all benefit from some therapy in one way or another. And having done that this year, I wish it would have been something that I pursued for myself sooner in my life, because I've seen great benefit from it. So I'm really grateful for that, and for having had access to therapy throughout this year, with everything going on with my family and the loss of my grandmother. So it was all part of the experience for me, and I'm so glad that's the way it worked out. As far as having a third-party witness that wasn't involved to help me kind of, sort it all out. And still working on it. My grandmother passed away in August, and so it's still pretty new for all of us, in my opinion anyways. Other family members of mine might see it differently. There was a lot of other really wonderful things, though, that happened this year. And it's definitely a lot of gratitude for that. That is, I started this podcast. I expanded my reach as far as becoming a little bit more involved in social media, and also it's expanded my practice as far as the number of patients that I'm working with, and that is something that I'm really grateful for and proud of. A little over 4 years, entering my 5th year of practice, and I couldn't imagine it going any better than it has been over the past several years. But this year was incredible as far as seeing my business thrive, and I'm looking forward to so much more of that. And there's a lot of expanding that needs to happen, from a physical perspective and space going forward, hopefully in the near future, but lots of wonderful things in the works. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of blessing there. The other sort of wonderful thing that has come to surface, especially over the past few months, specifically since the passing of my grandmother, is really deepening my connection to my intuition and my guides, my ancestors that are with me. And that's been a really powerful experience. A lot of growth in that, and realizing that I have some work to do, not only on myself, which I'm always looking for ways to improve on myself, whether it be, cognitively or, from a spiritual perspective of being a little bit more compassionate and present in every moment. I struggle sometimes with staying present in my life, and I think that's just a symptom of the world we live in. We tend to easily kind of disconnect ourselves, and I've become more aware of the fact that I have some work to do around this inner higher knowing that I carry with me, that is part of me, and that comes from my ancestors, from my lineage. And it's just been something that has come to me. I've felt it energetically. There's been a shift in the way I feel energy in myself, the way I feel energy with my patients when I'm working with them, the way I feel the energy when I am journaling, when I sleep, when I dream. Things are just shifting, and so I've recognized that there's some level of knowledge that's being passed down, or knowingness, awareness that's being passed down to me, and that I am basically being handed the baton. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to dive deeper into that. There's a lot of power in knowing that I am, I guess not, maybe power is not the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? There's this wonderful feeling of knowing that I am being supported on this plane. And, for some of you listening, this might seem a little woo-woo, I guess. But I live in woo-woo. Like, this is me. And so, and I'm going to be bringing probably more of that in future episodes. And so if you're in for the ride, welcome. If you want to dive in with me into all that I am exploring deeper now in my life, thank you, and I welcome you. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and maybe, and that's okay. No offense taken or given here as far as that's concerned, but it just feels really amazing to know that there is this evidence that I'm feeling, that there's something more, and that there is this connection that I have to my ancestors through generations, and some of which I've probably never heard stories about either. And there's this healing that is taking place, or that needs to be facilitated. And that's part of the work that I'm here to do, not only in the realm of my business and helping people heal, but also in the realm of the wounds and traumas of my ancestors, of our past. And that's not just to say my own family's ancestors. I think there's a collective ancestral line that we all emanate from as far as the spiritual plane is concerned. And so, I'm diving still into all of this, and more is coming to me, more clarity as far as understanding what it all means. So if this sounds a little jumbled, it's because I'm still working it all out, but I think it's pretty neat, and it's pretty freaking cool to just be on this journey. I'm really excited for more of it. I'm I'm just taking it all in. The other really exciting thing, and not too many people know about this yet, is I have officially enrolled or saved my seat as, I believe it's an internship title while I'm in the training, but it's basically I will begin my training as a functional medicine practitioner towards the end of January, beginning of February. Still awaiting all the details of the start of the semester courses, but I am on to some further education, higher education, I suppose, continuing education that just adds another level of care for my patients, and really I think is going to have a wonderful impact, not only on my practice, but especially my patients. That's why I do what I do. And I think it's pretty neat to have this opportunity, and I'm really excited to learn everything that there is to learn about functional medicine and implementing it into my practice. And so that's really exciting for 2020. But it's something that I've been contemplating all of 2019 of doing. I've spoken with so many patients on and off throughout the year, and even probably in later parts of 2018, where functional medicine has come up, that we're not, seeing all of the data within the standard tests that are given by doctors. And oftentimes things go unanswered because we're not looking at these functional ranges of things. We're looking at just the standard, what's considered normal ranges for a healthy person in our society. But truly there are functional levels that we should be looking at, and they bring more clarity to the situation. And so there aren't a lot of practitioners offering that within the area that I work in, as far as geographically speaking. And so I'm really excited to be able to offer that in the future, and bring that to my patients and any future patients of mine, and even having the opportunity to reach people on a I guess more global scale, because it's something that I could also work with outside of my physical practice as well, and provide consultations and information to help people improve their health. So really excited. Oh man. All right. So it's only a couple hours until the new year. And like I said, I'm sitting here in my kitchen. I'm just going to take a sip of my tea here in case you hear any clinking. Excuse me. I have gone through my little ritual that I do every end of the year, every New Year's Eve, and that is to write down all of the things that I am letting go of, all of the things that I'm releasing that I no longer want to carry with me into the new year. And then writing on another piece of paper all of the things that I welcome into my life for this new year and beyond, really this decade that's coming. And so I think that's a pretty powerful exercise. And I don't think it necessarily has to be done on New Year's Eve. You can do this at any time in your life, any day. Heck, you could do it daily if you needed to. Or, with every lunar cycle, there are ways of doing this release work and invitation to receive things as well. And this isn't where I write down the things that I am open to receiving or welcoming in. They're not resolutions the way that we've been taught in our society. I'm not, writing down, I'm going to lose those last 10 pounds this year, or, I'm going to get to the gym more. What I'm writing is the feelings that I'm welcoming in, the experiences that I'm welcoming in, like open to receiving and giving more love freely, just as an example. Open to more deeper connections with people, open to more intuition, and open to practicing more creative outlets and avenues, more art, things like that. And so, and it may speak to you to do something that's more resolution based, as far as this typical resolutions are concerned, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I have found over the years that doesn't really amount to much, because oftentimes, and I witnessed it even in my days working as a personal trainer, people have these resolutions and they get this really big kickstart January 1st, and come February, 15th, it's comes to a snail's pace, right? Or even March, things just slow way down and you lose sight of it and you kind of run out of gas and nothing really comes of it. And so I think that has a big impact on how the rest of the year kind of flows. And so part of this exercise is to then release it out into the universe. And so I have written down these things that I am open to, but I am also not forcing in any way. I am inviting the things that are of the greatest and highest good for me into my life, and releasing that which no longer serves me as well. And so release it out into the universe. Some people, they burn these papers once everything's written down. Some people bury it. Some people just shred it simply. Whatever is a symbol for you of releasing it out into the universe is sufficient. So however you choose to express that, releasing, that is what you should do. And I think there's a lot of magic in that. And I find that when we can release fully, and I'm only adding that word fully is because I have done work in the past where I set out the intention, I put it out there, but then I have my own preconceived notions of how things should go, and that's not what the universe had in store. And so I am butting heads with the plan that is meant to unfold and trying to force something that isn't. And so that is not releasing fully. Releasing fully is just giving it all up to the universe and throwing your arms up in the air and letting be what will be. And yeah, so I'm working on that. That's part of this work, always evolving for myself. And so, I'm going to get ready to go release these pieces of paper, these words out into the universe, and invite in all that is coming, all that is going to help me live my most authentic, real life and bring the greatest and highest good to myself and will help me be of greater and higher good of service to others. And I think that is just a wonderful way to transition from the close of one decade into the start of a new one. And so thank you so much for being here. I would like to add, I know that when I first started this podcast, I said there would be interviews, and there have not been any interviews as of yet. But don't fret, they are coming. 2020 schedule is being put together for interviews. I think this fall, just so many emotions and so many things being processed. Just couldn't get my head in the right space to line it all up, make it happen. But 2020 is shaping up already to be a pretty fantastic year ahead and a wonderful start to this next decade of our lives. I'm so excited and so grateful for all of you. Wishing you all a fantastic New Year's Eve if you're listening tonight. And if not, wishing you a fantastic New Year's Day. And stay safe out there. And just be well, be you. Love you all so much. Thank you. Have a blessed 2020. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like or subscribe the Wholistic Me podcast on whatever platform you might be listening on. Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and many more. While you're there, don't forget to leave a review. That will help us reach more listeners just like you. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste.